video, we are going to listen to an interview done on MSNBC, as Larry Elder will put it, MSNBC, which most people have been somewhat keeping away from MSNBC because of how they put a spin on many things. But nevertheless, they decided to bring some Trump supporters and hear their side of the story concerning January 6th, which is one of those talking points today from the left to uh, speak against Mr. Trump. But the story didn't go as they thought it would. Um, it went in a direction where more people were exposed to the truth of the story rather than what is being said all the time. How about we take a listen to this?
Doug Mastriano was at the insurrection and he was photographed breaching one of the restricted areas. Is that okay?
Which area? Because I saw a video where Capitol officers were taking away barriers and unlocking
Opening
doors. For people. So, I mean,
they opened the gates.
So
and
it
let them
shouldn't
in.
be disqualifying for an elected official if
definitely.
they
as long as he
participated in
didn't-
January
he
6th?
didn't strike anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
And the only one that died was a protester there, not a Capitol Police
Unarmed
officer.
female veteran was
That's
shot
the
by
only one that
police.
died.
That's the only one who died.
A police officer did die.
No, it
Died of
was a
heart attack.
stroke.
That's
That's not on site.
caused by that. That's
Right.
He shouldn't have been a police officer. There was one woman
So
who was
what do you make?
Wow. I don't think they were ready. You bring these Trump supporters to MSNBC, you know that a lot of people are going to be exposed to the truth, right? Maybe this was a huge mistake, but I have to give them credit even for doing that, because I think what has been lacking in the narrative concerning January 6th is that very few Trump supporters have been given a voice. And the fact that MSNBC is doing this, I really appreciate the content. The truth is screaming louder than the lie, that's for sure.
Though overall of January 6th, I mean, it was watching that footage, it was pretty disturbing. I mean, there were people throwing excrement at the walls, and it was it's the Capitol.
It looked a lot like Antifa's
Yeah,
actions
it looked
to
a
me.
lot, except on a much smaller scale. It looked the same as the Black Lives Matter riots.
That's what I saw, the
Every single
similarities
city
to
around
be.
the country, not just
Minneapolis
one.
burns. Kenosha
But so it's
burns,
okay
Waukesha
just because
burns.
one side that you
No,
disagree with,
I'm
it's
saying
okay?
Antifa.
That's powerful. I love I love what they're doing. Is they are helping many. And it's crazy because you would think the media should know these differences. You will think, since they are reporting on the story, they will have a proper conception of what the truth actually is. But it seems that they are the one twisting the story. It seems like this lady that is interviewing these Trump supporters here, she is more shocked at the fact that these people don't share her view of what happened on January 6th. And the truth is, majority of Americans actually don't share their view. So actually, I think that was really, really nice listening to that. And I did a reaction video to The View, having interviewed Ted Cruz, and things got a little heated. But I love what Ted Cruz said by correcting them about you. Yeah, he shocked himself.
Did I miss an entire year of Antifa riots?
Yes, calling January 6th the worst of crime. Some go as far as to say January 6th is worse than 9/11. I was like, oh my Lord, these people are crazy. But Ted Cruz corrected them on that, talking about Antifas and Black Lives Matter an entire year of rioting, and even during the pandemic, this was happening. Somebody in my comment said, "What about 2016 rioters when Trump was elected president and some people were screaming, 'Not my president'?" I remember that. I remember people were just going crazy. And I'm like, man, people are really passionate about not having Trump as their president. But nevertheless, he was the elected official. He was the elected man in the White House, and he needed to be respected just like everybody else. And you know how they weaponized the word election denier. They turned that into a weapon, and then the senator, the one who was running for senator now, Carrie Lake, kind of did a nice little segment of rebuking and exposing the hypocrisy of the left. That it's very normal for people to deny election. That's just part of their constitutional right and their freedom of speech. To not agree with an election doesn't necessarily mean not agreeing is wrong. I mean, people are entitled to that, but I think the left has weaponized that, trying to create another narrative as well, and they call them out on that. So let's keep listening to this content. It gets even better.
It's okay just because one side that you
No,
disagree with.
I'm
it's
saying
okay
Antifa
for-
It's
infiltrated.
good for one, it's good for the other.
Anybody
I don't
who
see it
harms
that way.
anybody who caused property destruction, that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
but if
and
you're
on
there
either side.
making your voice heard at the people's house, no less,
Yeah.
that's, again, it's a fundamental constitutional.
Let me unmute myself here. Oftentimes, Trump supporters are compared to white supremacists or people who hate America just because they love their country. They have an American flag, and they are oftentimes styled and deemed to be people who are racist, fascist, as who did this, Mr. Biden, and that blood and black background speech he gave, and styling the MAGA Republican, as he refers to that, as fascist and extremist.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They're MAGA Republicans. Extreme MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans have extreme MAGA ideology. MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans are MAGA.
Just because they love their country or they oppose the Democrats, which I thought was atrocious, and I thought it was wrong because you're talking about people whose view differs from yours doesn't necessarily mean they need to be styled in that way. So when you look at these people sitting here talking, how do you go? What part of these people's character? And I'm one of those guys who reads character all the time. I look at eyes, I look at behavior, I look at words, and all this stuff. Although I can't read hearts, but by their fruit we shall know them. How do you style these people as evil? How do you say because they love Trump, that means they are fascist? How do you do that? It's very hard to make a judgment such as that unless you have facts on your side and real evidence and solid proof. They don't even use that. It seems they are just running with emotions instead of solid reality here.
Right of an American citizen, and people should not be being held political prisoner because of it.
For misdemeanors. That's East Germany.
That's East Germany.
Tactics.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
It was an actual fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And the other ones that were the
Was the protest legitimate in your eyes?
Administration, I
Because
feel like, is using it as their Reichstag fire.
That's actually true.
They're using it.
That's exactly true. And they have to admit, though, it's almost like they have this hook line and they're using it as a weapon to control any and everyone. And I think JP just did a video I'm going to react to. It's kind of saying vote blue no matter what. And he goes into some stuff in there. I'm going to put a video out toward that next. But it's true. It's just that you cannot weaponize an event in a way to galvanize your political position and create voters to support you, despite the fact your policies may not be that good. But you're saying just because of what happened on that day, you should not vote for this group of people. So therefore, it becomes a smear campaign to say these people are bad. And it's very it's a very evil way to style any group of people at the end of the day. But I love what they're doing here. They are giving her uh they are telling her the truth, and these are the truths. This is the truth that very few have been given a voice to even speak about, and very few are willing to also listen to this, because what we were told is what we see on our screen and what is being reported. And most of that stuff has been laced in political biasness. You can't run with it because it's lacking context. And a lot of it were being used for political expediency. So I love what these people are doing here.
Do you think that President Trump could have quelled the violence that day?
Not him personally.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
It started while he was still speaking. I was actually there. I was there to see what I thought was going to be the last time I ever saw Trump. Little did I know.
So did he tell everybody to go and start riding?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, and it actually,
She asked one of them a question. That was actually smart.
Start riding?
no.
I didn't think so.
No,
I didn't
it
think so.
actually, I stayed for the whole speech, like a ton of people did. And then we all headed to the Capitol because he said, let's go to the Capitol and peacefully let our voices
keyword.
be heard. And we get to the Capitol and we're like, what the hell's going on? Because it had already happened.
I'm pretty sure I saw Democratic operatives instigating people to cross
totally.
barriers.
You were there that day.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I mean, why would he tell people to do that? Why did the people who did that not wait around for him to tell them to do that?
Good question.
That around the end of his speech, if I remember correctly. It happened before he even said that.
I've heard that as well. So many were already starting the rioting even before Trump said, let's go to the Capitol, not to the point of starting or attacking or stampede inside of the building. This wasn't so much the call, but people were already on the move. So it does make sense why these Antifas, who are the extreme radical left, who supposedly are anti-fascist, is their movement. It makes a lot of sense. So many Republicans are being made to feel that this was their doing, when really there was a radical left group, Antifas. They were already on the move carrying out this thing. And unfortunately, I think there probably was a mixing of both Antifas and Republicans or supporters of Trump. It kind of made things even more confusing. But it's also very good to note that this was already going on before Trump even suggested for them to go to the Capitol, not to do anything violently either. It was just brought about that way. And I did hear other videos from crowds of people who were recording, and I've heard many other things concerning that as well. So these people are not lying. They are telling the truth.
I believe. I mean,
I think the timeline, didn't he speak? Because he was back at the White House and then he tweeted. So he tweeted.
After
People were still
some fear
there.
and stuff, yeah. But it started while he was still speaking, and they talk about the fact that, oh, he didn't do anything for this amount of time. It's like, well, he was giving his speech and.
Why did
know
Nancy
about
Pelosi deny his request?
Actually, we have
several thousand
National Guards.
troops?
Yeah.
Well, it actually isn't in Pelosi's power
But
to
it was
deploy
his
National
to
Guard.
offer
Well, she's
them.
Speaker of the House. She has no authority over
But-
that whatsoever. And frankly, I think that's a good thing.
But even so,
Isn't
if
she
there
in
was,
charge of security?
if there
for
was
the
that great
Capitol,
of a
though?
risk that she
Not
was
Nancy.
offered them,
Mm.
then why didn't she
do anything.
preemptively beef up Capitol Police.
Right.
But she does have the authority to do.
Capitol Police are there.
But apparently they were taken off guard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, this is, I really don't know where to start here. It's Nancy Pelosi's fault. It's.
No, they told the truth. I mean, they went on to smear this whole interview, even though she had a hard time convincing them otherwise. It was a really rough day. I am in no way saying what happened there was okay, but to blame Trump solely for this, or to blame anybody who's a Republican solely for this, to blame people who love their country, who has an American flag, as fascist, to me is like, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that was right. But again, you know how these interviews usually go. They talk to you and then they take what you've said and they create their narrative and smear the character or even the words. They add their own meanings to it. But this is where we are. If there's one thing I will say to this is I found it to be true in the Bible, of course, as you guys already know. One of the problems that I think is lacking from all of the discussion is that we're not taking enough time to listen to each other. Both party are not doing a good enough job listening to one another. So these types of interviews, MSNBC has done something decent. So what they've done with the information, I know certainly wouldn't be as decent. I know they're gonna twist it. They're gonna add their 2 cents on it. They're gonna add some salt and pepper. But again, that's what they do because they have to support their base. But if people care about the truth, one thing you have to do very, very well is you need to listen. The Bible actually speaks about how important it is to do this. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. Let every person be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. All right, friends, I think we can end it right here. Share your thought and perspective with me concerning this matter. I thought this was a very insightful interview. And again, I think one of the best things we can do is to learn to listen more to one another, to spend time to listen to both sides of the party and to see what we can learn from each other and come with a balanced perspective on what is going on instead of running with wrath and condemnation. Oftentimes, we don't have the entire story. It's very crucial that we learn to take some time to listen more to one another. And again, I would like for you to do me a big favor before you run away from me. Like and subscribe if you have not already done so. And if you have already liked and subscribed, make sure you share this content with somebody else. As always, remember to look unto Jesus, to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.